Hey guys. Okay, guess what? I got to do a cryo sauna. You bet your butt I'm gonna tell you all about it. It was like not even on purpose. I wasn't even seeking it out. So I'm gonna grab my laptop, get my notes, and we'll get started. So what I went to was called whole body cryotherapy. It's basically my whole body went into the cold. And before that makes you click right out of this video, wanted to let you know that I'm actually very cold intolerant. I avoid the cold like the plague. Ever since I got sick, anytime I go out into the cold, if I should be shivering like a normal person would, my body actually decides to freeze up like a statue. So when I heard that I might have the opportunity to go into a cryo chamber, I was like, no way, that is not safe for me. But then it turned out I was totally fine. So don't worry about if you are super cold intolerant like me. It doesn't mean that you're going to automatically be a big fat no. My channel is like health stuff. I mean, a lot of service dog stuff, but also health stuff. So you probably watch other health videos too. There's no way you haven't seen cold shock therapy all over your Instagram feed. I see it everywhere, especially in the dysautonomia space. I feel like there are a lot of POTS patients who are using this, and also maybe Lyme patients. It was definitely on my radar as something that I might want to try in the future, but I hate the cold and I can't really do the cold, so it wasn't something I was gonna do anytime soon. I'll tell you the story of how I accidentally stumbled into it later, but let's talk about the benefits of cold shock first. I'll just quickly clarify, cold shock in this case was not an ice bath. I'm a big fat no on ice baths. I wouldn't even want to do tap cold bath. No. This cryo chamber was a standing up chamber that was full of freezing cold air. Air cyclone around your naked body. But the fact that it was air made it way more doable for me than if it was water. I digressed. We're talking about benefits. Caveat, none of this is proven. Cryo stuff, cold shock is all seen as alternative therapy stuff, so it is not covered by insurance. The place I went to does take HSA, in case you're curious. But all of these things are things that it might do. It may benefit, but not proven. Although I will say, when I looked in the literature, I feel like the evidence is really strong, and there's a reason why this is all catching on. So what are the benefits? If you go to buy one of the cryo machines on the internet for a whopping something like $35,000, it boasts things like improved circulation, boosted immune activity, and faster muscle recovery. Proponents of the therapy say that it can help you with a variety of different conditions like Alzheimer's, chronic pain, insomnia, depression, and rheumatoid arthritis. It sounds like when the therapy first started catching on like wildfire, wild ice, it was mostly for athletes because it aids so much in muscle recovery. It might aid in muscle recovery. Because of how much the cold can reduce inflammation, it can help with a lot of that post-activity pain. I've seen online that it can do a lot of things for people with dysautonomia, whose autonomic system does not work quite right, like blood pressure and pulse. And the woman who I saw at this clinic said that she does actually get quite a few POTS patients. She said she also sees a lot of Lyme patients. To me, it kind of makes sense that it would help you with things like POTS, dysautonomia, orthostatic hypotension, or orthostatic intolerance, because the problem in those diseases is that when you stand up, or when the issue is triggered, your body is not constricting the way that it should. Whenever you stand up, the blood vessels in your legs should constrict in order to make it so your blood can go up to your head to account for that change in your posture. I'm having trouble with words. But in people with POTS and a number of other conditions, the ones I just listed, that doesn't quite work right. And I feel like this cold shock forces your body to learn how to do that a little bit better. It kind of practices those muscles. So how does a person manage to accidentally go to cold shock therapy? What? My husband is a financial professional and he sometimes has networking events. This was a networking event. I am his banging wife, so I get to go to the events. I put on my dress and my high heels and I went. We were just gonna go do the appetizers and stuff. And it happened to be hosted at this clinic. It's a medical clinic. It was just a coincidence, I guess, that it happened to be at this place. The other people involved were from other walks of life. You know, there's a hairdresser there, there's my husband, the finance guy, and then, you know, the woman who was hosting, she's got this cryo machine because we are at her office. She hears that I have POTS, obviously, because I'm walking around with a chair at a professional networking event. Have no shame. Do what you need to do. Walk around with the chair. It's fine. She said, oh, we have quite a few POTS patients actually. Yeah, they love the cryo thing, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm metal enough to handle the cryo thing. And she assured me it should be totally fine. We talked through all the steps and what it would be like, and I let her know, you know what? Actually, yeah, I think I can totally handle that. And she said that it can be really beneficial for people with POTS, and I'm also suspected Lyme. She said it helps some people with their Lyme symptoms too, so yeah. I was completely not prepared at all to be going into a cryo chamber when I went to this fancy event. When I went into the room, there were sports bras and sports shorts available and robes. It was kind of cool the way they set it up. There were lights on the side to make stars. The machine obviously is what actually stands out. And then there was also a chair to get ready and a basket of mittens and gloves. Before you go into the cryo chamber, you remove all of your clothes except for your underwear, and you also remove all of your jewelry. Everything from the neck down is going to get treated, so from the neck up, I was allowed to keep in all of my jewelry. I put all of my belongings on one of the little side tables and traded out my high heels for some very fluffy, doubled up wool socks. Then you step into the machine and close the door. The attendant came in and she pushed this button, and when she pushed the button, the platform rose me up. It took forever until my head was popping up over the top of the chamber, and that just assures that I'm at the right depth. Then it was go time. I was pretty nervous, but also very excited. I have very good news. Before the machine makes you cold as heck, it actually makes you warm first. That was really nice. That was my favorite part. I don't remember the temperature it went up to. I believe it was 180 Celsius, and it held it for 75 seconds. After the 75 seconds was over, suddenly, plunge. The big tank is connected to a liquid nitrogen tank. And you know, like when the liquid nitrogen comes or when dry ice happens, there's all that steam. That's kind of what's going on around you. You kind of get that vapor around you. However, the machine does use the liquid nitrogen indirectly, so you're not breathing nitrogen. No worries on that. During the treatment, the air on the inside of the machine sort of spins around you. It's a little bit of a vortex, but the owner recommended that I also spin around just to sort of encourage the air to get everywhere. So in the clips, you'll notice that for some of it, I'm kind of moving around, or I'm slowly spinning. Once the machine gets to temperature, it only holds you in the cold for just about 3 minutes. It's a really fast therapy. It took me about a minute and a half to actually feel like I was getting pretty uncomfortable with how cold it was, just because I started out so warm. So it was only actually uncomfortable for maybe a minute and a half. Really totally tolerable. The temperature that I was set at was negative 270 degrees. I don't remember how low the machine goes, but I think it was negative 320. I'm gonna stick with the 270. As far as people who should get cryotherapy, who this is recommended for, I think you guys should talk to your doctor and just see if you're a good candidate, because with medical stuff, it can kind of get hairy. It's all really personal. But there are times when you definitely should not be doing cold therapy, and I can definitely give you a few of those right now. Pregnancy, severe hypertension, so if you have very high blood pressure, this is not recommended for you. If you have any kind of heart disease, or if you have symptomatic cardiovascular disease, don't do it. There are other things like venous thrombosis, fever, tumors, claustrophobia, cold allergies, obviously. Apparently, positional allergies are totally fine. If you have like acute kidney disease or urinary tract disease, not good. Uncontrolled seizures is listed on there, but I suppose controlled seizure is not on the list, so maybe if you have seizures, you should ask. Raynaud's syndrome is actually something that is listed as you should not get it, but I did decide to get it even though I do have Raynaud's. A couple other contraindications. If you have severe anemia, if you have an infection, if you have arrhythmias, or any kind of bleeding disorders, then this is probably not for you and you should talk to your doctor. Also, if you're under 18, you're definitely going to need a parent's permission. And by the way, these lists are definitely not exhaustive. Just some examples. If it's piquing your interest, then you'll need to go look into it yourself. So sometimes if something is mild or intermittent, you can totally get clearance for it. You really just need to talk to your team and go by what's up with your body. Sometimes the risk is worth the benefit, and this cold therapy was pretty mellow. After the therapy ended, I felt pretty invigorated. I did feel like I just had a cup of coffee. You guys probably know that feeling already from any time you jump into a cold pool. You're like, "Whoa," but then you get out and you're like, yep, I'm ready to tackle the day. That's how I felt at the end of the therapy. Did I see any difference in my symptoms? No. I mean, I only did one session. I wasn't paying super close attention to what happened afterwards, but I have good days and bad days, well, good times and bad times. I'm kind of always ebbing and flowing, so I can't say I saw any difference from just this one therapy. But I did really enjoy it. I did enjoy the energy that I got from the therapy. I felt very invigorated. I felt like my body tolerated it well enough that I do want to go back because I want to find out if there are benefits. And I think that even though this is the kind of thing where there only may be benefits, in my looking, it does seem like the evidence is pretty strong. There's a lot of evidence for a lot of different cold therapies, not just whole body cryo. So this was a cool experience and I'm excited to go back. All right, see you guys next time.